Started with the hearing. How I do that is I have to read the statement to you. I read in every case. After I'm done reading that, I'm going to hand the case over to Miss Belinda. She's your case manager. And she'll get your names and spelling, swear you in, and then we'll get started with the hearing. So good morning and welcome to the Philadelphia Fair Housing Commission. Again, my name is Allie DeMedeiros. I'm the attorney for the Fair Housing Commissioners. Also present here today from the Fair Housing Commission staff is Miss Belinda Algeen, who is your case manager. You'll also see Miss Monica Gonzalez. She runs our Zoom hearings for us. Before the hearing, I am required to go over a few things with you. First, you're being recorded. We record all our hearings. By remaining on the line and participating in the hearing, you are consenting to be recorded. Our Zoom hearings have the same force and effect as if we were in person. The only difference is on Zoom, we do not have a court reporter. In the event either party wants to appeal a final order of this commission, they can reach out to myself or the case manager, and we will provide them with a copy of the video recording. Please be mindful of what you're saying and doing because it is being recorded. Second, at 10 o'clock this morning, the commissioners and myself, the attorney, met in a private executive session to discuss the day's cases. We do this on every hearing day with every case. Third, the parties had the opportunity to submit documents. I have the submitted documents saved on my computer and can share them with everyone on the screen. Please keep in mind that the commission generally only reviews the very basic documents in a case prior to a hearing. If you would like a document reviewed by the commission, please reference it by name, date, or description so that I can post it on the screen for everyone to have a look at the same time. Lastly, during the course of today's hearing, it might be necessary for the commissioners to speak privately to make decisions in this matter. Sorry, if you can hear a dog, I apologize. If they need to do that, they'll invite you to join separate rooms divided by party called breakout rooms. A prompt will come on your screen at the appropriate moment asking you if you would like to join a breakout room. We will direct you to click join when you see that prompt. Once in the breakout room, please remain in that room. We won't end the hearing when you're in a separate room. Please make sure you're back in this main room and that a commissioner or staff member dismisses you before you log off or hang up. Thank you very much for listening. With that, I'm going to hand the case over to Miss Belinda.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Fair Housing Commission. This is the matter of Aaron McIntosh versus Kyle N. Sutherling and Jennifer E. Sutherling. The Fair Housing Docket number is 2024-1209-19379, and this is the first Fair Housing hearing. At this time, beginning with the tenant, if you can please state and spell your first and last name, and please speak slowly and clearly for the record.
First name Aaron, A-A-R-O-N. Last name McIntosh. That's M as in Mary, C as in cat, I, N as in Nancy, T as in Tom, O-S-H.
Thank you. Landlord, please state and spell your first and last name, and please speak slowly and clearly for the record.
First name Kyle, last name Sutherling, K-Y-L-E-S-O-U-T-H-E-R-L-I-N-G.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'd like to swear the parties in. Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You can put your hand down. The commission has 3 rules for today's hearing. First, do not speak over or interrupt each other, and do not speak over or interrupt the commissioners. Each party will have the opportunity to give testimony and present evidence. Second, please do not use generic phrases such as he said and she said. Please use tenant stated or landlord stated or Mr. McIntosh stated. This will keep the record clear. And third, when referring to a date, please give the complete date, including the year. For example, please state the date as July 4th, 2024. Don't just say in July or last year or in 2024. The commissioners present today are Commissioner Baez, Commissioner Brunson, Commissioner Butler, and Commissioner Sang. Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome to the Fair Housing Commission. So how we're going to work this today is that we will start with the tenant because it is the tenant that filed the complaint. And then after the tenant, we will move on to the landlord. So this question is for the tenants. You filed the fair housing complaint on November 9th, 2024. Is that right?
Yes.
Thank you. And this is regarding the apartment located at 7109 North Broad Street, apartment 3, Philadelphia, PA 19126.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And is your lease a 1-year lease or month-to-month lease?
1-year lease.
Okay. And when did you first move in?
May 20th of 2024.
And what was rent at the beginning of the lease?
The monthly rate was $8.95, but it was prorated for the month of May, so it was $328.17.
Okay. And Is it still $8.95 a month?
Yeah.
And when's the last time you paid rent?
September. I'm sorry. August was the last time I paid.
Okay, so that's August 2024.
Yeah.
Okay. And did you ever receive a certificate of rental suitability and Partners for Good Housing handbook from the landlord at any point?
No.
And what about a lead certificate? Have you received that from the landlord?
You said what certificate?
A lead safe certificate?
No.
And in terms of the unfair rental practices that you allege in your complaint, you said that starting in, um, this must be a typo. I'm sorry, when did you say you first moved in?
So the lease started June 1st, but I moved in. I took possession of the apartment May 20th of 2024, and it was I would say late June is when I started to notice like chronic issues with rodents and vermin living
Okay,
behind the wall.
okay. And what else happened?
So of course I immediately contacted my landlord Kyle via contacted him via his phone, text message, and also we talked on the phone a lot. Not really more so throughout text messages. He did say that he would contact the wildlife service and see what he could do. A gentleman Brian came out from I believe Critter Control. He did the inspection of my home and then our neighbor's home as well. He was here for I want to say 2 hours. Took pictures and everything. He did notify me that also Kyle had reached out to them, I guess, a year ago, and that they had already plugged up holes for the vermin before. So it was kind of like I don't know, because Kyle acted like he didn't know that this was an issue, an ongoing issue. So long story short, it's ballooned into a bigger situation, and it had a compound effect. Pretty much, I worked from home, and as a work from home employee, I'm required to pretty much I have to have a distraction-free environment, and a safety environment as well. And that's hard to actually provide when I'm listening to these raccoons and possums and things scratching at the walls all day. I've contacted ACT Philly, I believe it is, ACCT Philly, and they've been out a couple of times. And one of the guys that came out in the middle of the night, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, one of the raccoons or possums tried to get in. So I contacted them. He came out and he actually, showed me where the holes were under my radiators, my baseboards, where they will be trying to come out of. I showed him a picture of the two because I actually killed two baby. I thought they were raccoons, but he confirmed that they were actually possums. The two that I had killed behind my baseboard heater. The lack of communication from Kyle, it just became strenuous. I would try, I would contact them. I would let them know, hey, I'm having this issue again, and blah blah blah. He said a couple times, he said, send me a picture, and then nothing. I sent him the picture right away, and then nothing. I got absolutely no communication back. So that was the reason that I went on and I actually filed the fair housing complaint, because I started this with LNI. And with LNI, I sent it to my neighbor's house because I know that that's where the issue originally started from, and that it just ballooned over into our area. However, for Kyle, I continued to ask him over and over again if he could, just open up the wall and let them out. I was trying to, come up with different scenarios. I'll leave on the weekend, open the wall, set traps in my room, and as we catch them, bring them out, set the traps again. He said no, he's not going to open up any walls. When the ceiling started to slant, dip, over and over, I said, Kyle, you don't have to do the work. My dad does the work. My dad is a contractor, and also I have a friend who's a contractor. Me and my friend can do the work. My dad, you don't have to pay for anything. He did agree at one point to pay for material, but then I had heard nothing, absolutely nothing about it afterwards. It was more so about the rent money. When was I going to have the money? And then he said, "Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead."
So I'm just going to cut you off a little bit here because I want to be more targeted in terms of the questioning and the answer. In terms of you said the vermin and the pest, is that still an issue to this date?
Yes.
Okay. And then in your complaint, you also discussed other issues such as faulty venting system, cracking stairs, crumbling cabinets, broken window frames, uneven floor, swaying building, and damaged walls. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And can you talk about those and when they happened and how you reported to the landlord?
So again, I just briefly, like I said, when I first moved in, I started to just notice different things about the apartment. I did notice that the apartment, the walls weren't actually sheetrock. It appeared to be plaster. So I guess as the walls started to settle, that's when I started to notice the cracking and different things inside the walls. Well, the baseboard heaters, the animals are pushing up against the heaters, the baseboard. I say the heaters, baseboard heaters, because they're on the baseboard. So they start pushing up against those, and it's separating the walls from the actual baseboard. I brought it to Kyle's attention. He came over, I want to say maybe 5 or 6 times. And we sat, we talked, I was showing him different things, and he said, oh, well, I just don't see what you see. And that became, that's what he said all the time. I don't see what you see. Every time I would show him anything, I showed them the ceiling, the baseboard heaters. When he came over, and I wanted to show him the swaying. When the ground, my floor literally lifted. I'm laying in the bed, and the floor lifted up. So that's when I called Kyle 16 times on a Friday. He sent me a text message and said, I'm at church. We'll have to connect tomorrow. I left it alone. I didn't bother him anymore. And again, because for me, after the 4th or 5th time, that negates an emergency. So 16 times back to back to back, and he tells me he's at church on a Friday at 4:30. Something's not right. So I left it alone. I didn't hear from Kyle until Sunday. Sunday, he did come over, and the first thing he asked me was, did I find another place? So far as the cracking of the stairs, I feel I did bring that to his attention at one point, but I feel like he's been here so many times. He walks up the steps every day, so he sees the cracking when he goes up, and he sees it when he goes down. Also, we had an issue when I very first moved in. I want to say my second day here. My bathroom, when I would flush my toilet, I'm assuming that the water will flush down to the first floor. So they complained. He did hire the plumbers to come right away, and they were here the very next day. We couldn't utilize the water, and he took off some money from the rent for not having water and different things like that. Well, I realized that the cracking of the wall of the ceiling and the stains, because it's like the yellow stain, and water running through our light in the hallway, I'm realizing that's where that came from the whole plumbing situation, because my toilet constantly runs. My toilet does not turn off. It constantly runs. So I'm realizing that's where that came from. So this whole situation just ballooned out of control, because it's like just negligence. Kyle hasn't fixed anything since I've moved in this apartment, regardless of what I've asked.
Okay. And so I have a follow-up question. Allie, do you mind pulling up the notice to vacate?
No, I'll pull it up. He won't be able to see it because he's on the phone.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So I'm going to,
I am putting it up.
thank you. So, let's see. So is it accurate to say that you received a notice like a eviction notice, on or about November 1st, 2024?
Yeah.
Okay. And, can you tell us about that?
So I contacted, my aunt actually, my aunt started everything. My aunt was a supervisor with L&I before. So she put in a complaint. And again, she put the complaint in against my neighbor. They came out, they did their inspection or whatever the case may be. When I notified Kyle, I didn't hear anything. So I put a complaint in with L&I for our property. That was October 1st. Well, I put the complaint in a couple of days before the 1st, and then the inspector came on the 1st. He inspected the property. He did find violations. He said he'll notify the landlord. I'm assuming that happened, and there's just been nothing. Kyle, again, I reached out to him when I heard the raccoon behind my bedroom wall again. I reached out to him. He said he'll be by. He'll stop over. He did. He stopped over. I just so happened to be taking a nap. So I want to say I reached out maybe 15 minutes after because he said he was going to be by earlier that morning, but it ended up coming into the time that I would clock in for work, which is 2:30. I when I woke up from my nap, I saw that he said he sent me a message. He said, hey, I was stopping by, haven't heard from you. So I said, okay. I did respond to his message. I said, sorry, was taking a nap. Are you still around? He says, no, but I did leave you a document. I didn't realize it until I came out of the bathroom that there was a white piece of paper at the bottom of the door. And then that's when I got the eviction letter. And that was on November 1st. So I felt like it was kind of like a slap in the face because I contacted LNI, and now it's like, oh no, you just want me out of the property. Being as though we were discussing, because he said he had other properties, and he had a property, a one bedroom where a female was moving out of the state, going to Virginia. If I could, just hold on long enough here, that I could just move into that apartment. And then he said he also had a two bedroom. He asked me if I had a roommate. So when he came over that and gave me that, it was like, well, wait, I thought I was going to be moving into one of your properties. So it was kind of like a slap in the face. And I wasn't trying, again, everything was being submitted to my neighbor's address. It took me a while to actually, move and act into Kyle because, hey, I'm trying to give you a chance. I'm giving you a chance. I'm trying to get an understanding of what's really going on, that you don't want to touch anything.
Okay, do any of the other commissioners have any questions for the tenant?
When you moved in, did you pay a security deposit?
Yeah.
Okay, and what was that?
So I paid $328, $328.17 was for May 20th to the 31st. I paid last month's rent, which is $895, and I also paid the security deposit, which is $895. The full total was $2,018.17.
I'm sorry, can I need to step away for 3 minutes. There's someone banging on my door. Can I just be allotted 3 minutes? I'll be right back.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
So Mr. McIntyre, oh, we have to wait for him to come back. I'm sorry.
I believe Mr. Sutherland is back. He's on mute if you're speaking, but
Okay, so I think Commissioner Butler had a question.
No, I don't have any more questions.
Okay. Do any of the other commissioners have questions for the tenant?
I do not.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So at this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Sutherland some questions, and that before Mr. Sutherland can respond to the tenant's statements. So, Mr. Sutherland, do you have a license to operate to rent this property?
So that's a great question. I know we are a commercial rated property. I did not realize there was a separate license for that, so we have applied for that. But we do have, I guess it's an OPA or I forget the document, but I don't know specifically that. No, I'm not sure.
Okay. And did you provide the tenant with a lead safe certificate?
Yes, that's included in an email that went to him with the lease.
And do you have proof of that?
I'll look at the email, but you can see on the lease that he has signed that he received the lead statement, the lead documents.
And what about a certificate of rental suitability?
No, that was not provided.
Okay. And so can you please provide us with a copy of the lead certificate?
Sure.
Okay. And actually, Ally, do we have a copy of that?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's a it's not a lead certificate. It is the safety of lead, the lead safety certificate or document that goes out with our leases.
I'm just trying to see if we have that.
I do have a lease with the lead disclosures. I can put it on the screen. Tenant
Great.
won't be able to see it, but tenant sent it, so. So I believe it's the lead disclosures at the end of the lease. Sorry, bear with me.
No, no problem. Take your time.
Oh, I don't know. I did see it when I reviewed it, but I believe it's lead disclosures. Do you know where it is in the contract, Mr.
It
Sutherland?
might be on
or-
the third page. It's right there. It's right there
right
on number 35.
Thank you, sir.
So is this what you mean by the lead disclosure or the lead information?
Yeah, and that booklet that protect your family from lead in the home is what is given out.
I see. Did you actually provide a certificate from?
No, I did not.
Inspector? Okay, thank you. Let me see if I have any additional questions. And when was the last time that the tenant paid rent?
That would have been August of last year, August 2024.
Thank you. And to date, have the LNI inspections violations been cleared?
They have not been cleared. I've been communicating with Mr. Williams from LNI. When we first received this notice, we spoke with I believe his name is Mr. Williams, and Mr. McIntosh had changed the locks on the door. So we did not have access, and every time we tried to get access, there was always either his schedule wasn't with my schedule. But the biggest concern that Mr. Williams had was a smoke detector that was disabled by the tenant. And he basically said to me, look, if he's not letting you in to put a new smoke detector on the wall, I don't understand. But there was also communication, and maybe Mr. McIntosh can talk more about what his communication with Mr. Williams was. Yeah, so no, nothing has been done inside the department since I spoke to Mr. Williams.
Okay, and you've also heard the tenant testify. Do you have any rebuttal testimony?
Yeah, sure. I can go over my experience with Mr. McIntosh when he rented the apartment starting in June. His lease started in June. We did give him access just the week prior, charged him a prorated amount. The apartment had recently been updated. It was freshly painted. The new carpets were put in. It was in very, very nice shape. And then about, I guess, a month or so into his lease, we did have a recurrence of raccoons, which were coming from the neighbor next door into one of the roofing eaves on the outside of the building. And Aaron made me aware of that. and we immediately sent out a critter removal service that over the next, I will say, 2 months or so, removed approximately a family of 6 raccoons. They came back re-inspected over and over again, and there's been no other evidence of raccoons in the building. Aaron was frustrated, and I was trying to work with him the best that I can. And sometime during the summer, I'm not exactly sure the date, but in July, August, we got together, and he talked about not feeling safe in the property, that the raccoons were going to come back. He talked about the building swaying. He talked about there being a snake in his ceiling. He talked about the rug moving. He talked about a number of different things. And I came over numerous times and sat with him, and he would point at the ceiling and say, look, the ceiling is falling down, the building is moving. And I just said, Aaron, I wish I could see what you see. I don't see what you see. We've had the inspectors here. The raccoon guys were there. They started to refuse to come back because there was no more issue, according to them, and I agreed with them. So I had said to Aaron, I said, look, if this apartment is not for you, I fully recognize that, and you could feel free to find another apartment. And this is somewhere around August, September. And he had said, well, he would start that, he would start looking for another apartment, and he would pay his September rent. He told me that he had to stay in a hotel a couple nights. I asked him to provide me the receipts. I would happy to help with that if I could. He'd never sent me any receipts on hotel stays. So then that was like September, October, and I would just call him. I'd say, look, how are you doing with getting another apartment? And he would just say, it's not that easy. I can't get an apartment. So this process went on for months. And like I said, from September, October, was totally doing whatever I could to help him. At least that's what I feel I was doing. The L&I inspector was working with me. We were having issues. I know Mr. McIntosh had called up Mr. Williams numerous times, berating him. I also know that he called the Philadelphia, I guess, Critter Control, or with the city of Philadelphia. They came out multiple times. I met with them, with Mr. McIntosh. They do not see any evidence that Mr. McIntosh sees. But I guess from my position, it wasn't like we weren't trying to do anything. What Mr. McIntosh is asserting here, that we didn't do any work on the property, I totally disagree with. We did everything that we could to help him feel comfortable, feel safe. And at the end of the day, we had agreed. I said, look, if you need to go, that's okay. I'll let you out of the lease. You can do whatever you need to do. I even mentioned I do have other properties, and there was some vacancies coming up, so that was an option. But at the end of the day, come November, it was now August, September, October, November. Although he would say he would start paying some rent, he refused to pay the rent. My only recourse at that point was, if you're not going to leave the property, then I'm going to have to ask you to leave through an eviction notice. So we got that, and I guess just a couple other points about the plumbing. He was absolutely right. When he first moved in, there was a stack issue on the plumbing going from the 3rd floor all the way down to the 1st floor. The plumbers immediately came back, redid the entire stack, so the plumbing was corrected within a few days. I did say, look, of course, since your toilet was not working properly, we gave him, and I forget the exact amount, but we offered him a monetary compensation for that. But aside from his claim that no other work is being done on the property, is just false. The property is in very nice shape. We can, again, I have no problem speaking to L&I or Mr. Williams. The biggest thing like I said earlier, the biggest thing that was the case with Mr. Williams was a smoke alarm that was disengaged, and it was disengaged by the tenant on the 3rd floor. But aside from that, my whole goal throughout this process was to have Aaron comfortable. And since he was no longer comfortable in the property, I was trying to work with him and be patient. And I said, whenever you find a place, just let me know. I wasn't even charging him rent. I was just like, okay, you just let me know. But come November, when he had promised he would send rent, and I think he feels, and you know, and it's okay. I think he feels that my only goal was to collect money from him. And that's just not true. From when we had the issue with the raccoons, and that was dealt with, the raccoon people certified that it was dealt with. They refused to come out because every time he would call, they'd come out, there would be nothing there. Similar with the Philadelphia critter organization. I'm not sure who works for the city of Philadelphia, but they refused to come back out. Mr. Williams from L&I refuses to take his phone calls anymore. So it just became a pattern. And like I said, my only goal was to say, Aaron, look, you know, that's okay. This might not be your apartment, and I understand. Just
Sure, Sterling, I think I understand what you're saying.
I'm sorry, I know I'm rambling.
No, it's okay. It's just because you're starting to repeat yourself. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
see if any of the other commissioners have any questions.
No questions.
Oh, I would just like to know, is there any proof of the statements that these individuals came out to do the inspections that you're claiming they did?
Sure, I can forward you bills that we paid.
That
I'm
would be
sure.
appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm sure on the record with L&I, Mr. Williams, I'm sure he has the communication that he had with Mr. McIntosh. Also with the Philadelphia, I wish I know, Mr. McIntosh knows the organization within Philadelphia that will come out if there's a wildlife issue. I'm sure they have documentation.
Philly.
I'm sorry?
It's Act Philly, ACCT Philly.
Okay, yeah, so Act Philly has documentation. I know they
Okay,
took.
just send the information that you have, please. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. So at this time, I think I have everything that I need. If any of the other commissioners have any further questions.
No other questions.
Okay, so at this time, we're going to have breakout sessions where the commissioners are going to meet and we're going to discuss the case, and then we will reconvene. So please hit the button for the breakout room, but do not exit the Zoom session, please.
Is that something that we do or no?
You will see a pop-up for you to click on to the breakout session.
Okay.
So you'll be.
Oh, I see it. I see it.
Hi, everybody should be back at this point. Can everybody hear me? The landlord and the tenant?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Okay, great. So the commissioners have deliberated and I will be issuing the oral order here, and then you will also be receiving this order in writing. So first, the landlord needs to close the L&I violations, and thereafter the landlord needs to obtain a valid license to rent, and then deliver the certificate of rental suitability, the handbook for Partners for Good Housing, and also a lead certificate to the tenant. Until then, the tenant owes no rent and the notice to vacate is therefore invalid. And further, the tenant must provide access for repairs and the L&I inspection. Any questions?
Hang on one second. Yeah, let me see. Okay, I'm sorry. So you're saying that the tenant can remain in the property until indefinitely?
No, until all the things that I just said are completed.
And can I ask why, if the tenant in the middle of the summer, you know, has suggested that he's not comfortable in the apartment, why is he not being held to vacate the apartment?
So those are not relevant facts here. We just have to enforce what the law says, and the law requires you to complete all those things, such as closing L&I violations, obtaining a license, delivering the CRS, the handbook, and the lead certificates. And that is what the commissioners are concerned with.
Now I do have because I've been staying at a hotel a lot lately.
I
do
that
have
is
the
not
receipt
within
of-
that's not here. So
Okay.
yeah, so we've issued our order. As long as you understand the order, you are free to go.
So can I ask one question about the repairs? So far as because I know with the wildlife services, like with Act Philly,
Mr.
out.
Mr. McIntosh, we've issued an order which states that the landlord must make all those repairs. If you don't understand the order that we've given, you can see counsel, both of you.
That's right. We can't actually answer the practical questions of how you're going to go about it. That's something you're going to have to figure out.
Okay, and just my final question is, will you also be able to email me this order before the mail, just so I can, itemize and get going on these requirements?
Yes, this will be provided to you in writing, and I believe that's their email.
And then my final question is, you had asked for just a confirmation of the work that was being done. I had pulled up the invoice. Do you guys no longer need that about the wildlife and the raccoons that were removed?
We do not need it. Thank you. All right, so at this time, the parties are free to leave. Thank you for appearing today.
Thank you.
Thank you.